Today we'll be focusing on quadratic equations, on how to solve quadratic equations. So first and foremost, we'll focus on what are quadratic equations. And quadratic equations are equations where the power of the variable, is at most two. That's what you have to remember each and every single time. So let me give an example of how quadratic equations look like. So if we get 2x squared plus 2x is equal to 1. This is an example of a quadratic equation. So the difference between a linear equation and quadratic equation, so that you don't get confused, is that a linear equation or linear equations, I'll just write this to EQ for equations as an abbreviation, has only one solution. Linear equations and has only one solution. And the quadratic equations has at most two. Solutions. However, there are special cases where a quadratic equation only has one solution. So when you're dealing with quadratic equations, you have to keep that in mind so that you don't get confused when you're solving and you find that it's only having one solution. So let's try to solve an example of quadratic equation. So let me give you this example. Let's start with a simple one, then we can get to the most difficult one. So e.g., let's take x squared plus 3x minus 4 is equal to 0. When you're solving this part of a quadratic equation, this is how you are going to solve it. Let's draw this line as a guideline. So this is what you do. You say that a number that when you add it, it gives you 3, but then when you multiply it gives you -4. So let's write all the multiples of 4. So obviously it's 4 multiplied by 1, 2 multiplied by 2. They all give us 4. And yeah, that's it. And it can also be 1 and 4. So yeah, that's why I'm only writing 4 and 1. So in this case, when we come back here and check, if we multiply this, will it give us 4? Yes. But then when we add it, will it give us 3? No. So which means that 2 multiplied by 2 cannot work as our solution for this question. Let me write this so it'll be close as 0. Then we go back to the first one, this one. If we multiply it, will it give us 4? Yeah. If we add it or subtract it, will it give us 3? Then we find that yes, it is going to give us 3. But how is it going to give us 3? It can give us 3 if any of these two, 4 and 1, is negative. So if we go back to our equation, we check which one is negative and which one is positive. Then we check it, and then we find that if we say negative 4 plus 1, it will give us negative 3. So which means that the one which is supposed to be negative is this one. So our equation passes. So we go back and write it as x squared plus 4x minus 4 is equal to 0. Therefore, this gives us x minus since we're factorizing, we're writing it in terms of factors, so you have to remember now we have to have 4 here, 2 brackets of this one, and all the brackets to be equal to 0. So x and an x, so which means x and an x, it's going to give us this. So we have to have another number that will multiply it, it gives us this. So we have a 4 here, which means it's going to be like x 4 4x. So our 1, we are going to write our 1 here. And this is positive, so it will be x multiplied by x squared, x multiplied by 4 will be 4x, negative 1 multiplied by x, negative 1 multiplied by positive 4 to give us negative 4. Yeah. Therefore, this bracket multiplied by this bracket is equal to 0. This means that x minus 1 is equal to 0 and x plus 4 is equal to 0, which means that x is equal to 1 or x is equal to negative 4. Always remember to underline your answers whenever you're working out these types of questions. So let's get to the more complex, where we'll be having an example as you say example 2. Example 2. Our coefficient is no longer it's no longer 1, so let's make our coefficient to be 3. So we have 3x squared plus 2x minus 1 is equal to 0. So equation like this, there are so many ways that you can solve it using. So let me show you the one that I used above, then I'll show you a different one after that. Then on this one, okay, since I've already covered the method above, let me show you a different one, which is called a quadratic equation. You can also use a quadratic equation from, you get it on your answer sheet, your question paper. Let's get it at the back of it. So this is your quadratic equation. It's plus or minus because everything here is under a root sign. So this is how you're going to do it. Minus b, which means it's going to be minus 2, plus or minus, then which means that it's going to be 2x minus 4. Our a is 3, our C is -1. Never ever forget to put the root sign. So our solution is going to be 1/3 or -1. This is the first method that you can use using the quadratic equation. And at this point, if you are not familiar with this, remember this is our A, this is our B, this is our C. So when you take C, you take it with its sign. When you take B, you also take it with its sign. When you take A, also with its sign. So just remember, it's, if I write nothing there on your front, it's always positive. But then if it's negative, then it will be shown with a negative sign. And let's go to another method of solving it. You can use this method. Then let's say from there, let me underline my work so that you don't confuse this different method with what I have there on top. Yeah. So since this was your question, 3x squared plus 2x minus 1 is equal to 0. What you are going to do here, you are going to introduce the brackets of factors equals to 0. So remember from the first question that you check that which that you multiply with, that it gives you this one. So you see the coefficient, so it means that it will be 3. Let's use it 3 because we can't to avoid fractions. So we take 3 here and have our 3x. So in this bracket, it means that what you multiply here, first term and the first term, should give us 3x squared. So we'll be having another x here. One thing that we don't know, or we don't have yet, is this. So what we are going to do is that to find these, the middle term, you're going to multiply the first term and the last term and the second term of the first bracket, the last term of the first bracket, and the first term, which means that this is what you are going to have now. You are going to have, let's make our unknown, the first unknown here, to be A, and the second one to be B. So this is what we are going to have. When you come here, we're going to have bx plus 3ax is equal to 2, because these, if when you multiply these and add them or subtract them, it's supposed to give us 2x. So the other thing, we are going to add these bottom, we are going to multiply this second, when I multiply this one and this one, all last terms A and B, it's supposed to give us our -1. So this is what we are going to do. AB, it's equal to -1. Therefore A is equal to negative 1 over b. So that we keep track of our work, let's give these equations names. We'll name this one to be our equation okay. Let's have our general equation. Let's also write our general equations with unknowns. For example, let's have 3x squared plus bx plus 3ax plus ab is equal to 0. So we'll give this one to be our equation 1, and this one will make it be our equation 2. This one will be our equation 3. On the top part, we are going to substitute our equation 2 inside our equation 3 for a. So we will substitute equation 2 into equation 3. So we automatically have bx plus 3 minus 1 over b x is equal to 2x, which is going to give us bx minus 3x over b is equal to 2x. That will make it our equation 4. Scrolling down, then from here we are going to bx squared minus 3x all over b is equal to 2x. Therefore, this is going to give us bx is equal to b squared x minus 3x we take out our x first of all. We will rearrange, so we take b squared x to our left hand side, so we're going to have b 2x 2bx minus b squared x is equal to negative 3x, which is going to give us, when we will take x as a common factor, so we're going to have 2b minus b squared is equal to minus 3. So now we are going to divide both sides by x, so we'll be only having 2b minus b squared is equal to minus 3. So everything we are going to write it accordingly. since our side will be negative b squared plus b 2b plus 3. Remember, we took our 3 to the left hand side so that we can write it as a quadratic equation. So this one will be simple. That's the first one. So right now we factorize it. We find that we'll be having, we write it in terms of vectors, so we'll be having a b and b is equal to 0. So a b multiplied by b 2 b squared, sorry. Then the number that when we multiply it, it gives us 3, and when we add it, it gives us 2. We are only going to have 3 and 1. So the 3 and 1. So at this point we are going to, it's easier to work it out as you multiply the whole equation with a negative sign, so that you have b squared minus 2b minus 3 is equal to 0. It's easier from this than this. So if you're having this, obviously you're going to get here, then have b, then obviously this one is going to be positive and this one is going to be negative. So your solutions for b is going to be -1 or 3. Then you substitute the values that you got for b back into, you're going to substitute it back into our equation 2. So if you substitute it, it's going to give you a, it's also going to be equal to 1 or -1 over 3. Then from that point, if you substitute your values inside your equations properly, or back into your equations with an unknown, which was equation 1, or which we named as equation 1, which is this one, then you are going to have something, or an equation which looks like this. So therefore it's going to be 3x squared minus x plus 3x plus 1 multiplied by -1, or this is if you use these first values, the black one. That's if the first equation, that's if you used these first values for a and for x. So the one I'm writing in red, that's when you are using all the second values. So this is what you are going to get. Three x squared plus 3x plus 3 minus 1 over 3, it will give all multiplied by x plus 3 -1 over 3 is equal to 0. All of these, this one and this one, all these equations, so are going to give us 3x squared minus x plus 3x minus 1 is equal to 0. So from this point now you're going to write it in vector form, so it will be 3x, this will be our second bracket, then it's equal to 0, x, since you multiply it, it gives us this. So now, using these equations and how you obtained it, then you are going to fill in a and b accordingly. So you are going to have this one as your 1 and also this one as your 1. And this one is going to be negative, this one is going to be positive. So all in all, your solution is going to be x is equal to 1/3 or -1. Same as the one that we have above. Thanks for watching. This has been the tutorial for how to solve quadratic equations using different methods. Enjoy the rest of your day.